You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith.
Greetings, young Squire Sprouts. Today is the 18th day in the 6th month in the year of our Lord 2022. My name is Sir Roland and you're listening to Saturdays with Sir Roland on Catholic Sprouts, where every Saturday we discuss the art of dragon slaying. Young Squire Sprouts, last week we started a discussion on the topic of sports, and we talked about self-discipline. This week, I want to focus on the P in the word sports, which stands for perseverance and passion. Perseverance is key to being a great dragon slayer. In the race of life, we're not really running a sprint, we're running a marathon. It's a long, long race. Do you guys know how far a marathon is? It's 26.2 miles. And I know this because I've done a couple marathons. I did my first marathon back in 2010, and I remember at the end of the race thinking to myself, this is awful. I'm never doing this again. And then you know what I did the very next year? I ran another marathon because something inside of me told me that this was actually good for me. This pushed me. This challenged me. If we read the book of Sirach in the Bible in chapter 2, it actually says, if you want to follow God, if you want to follow the Lord, then prepare yourself for a trial. That gold is tested in the fire and that life is hard. You know, during that marathon, there's ups and downs. There's some times where I felt like I could fly. I was feeling so good. And there's other times where I felt like, man, I can't take another step. Sometimes you're going uphill. Sometimes you're going downhill. Sometimes the wind's in your face. Sometimes the wind is at your back. And that is life with its peaks and valleys. And we have to be willing to persevere even through the challenging times. You know, one of the best basketball players that ever lived, Michael Jordan, he once said, I missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I lost more than 300 games. 26 times they trusted me to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. In my life and in my career, I failed and failed and failed again. And that is why I succeed. He persevered. He never gave up. When I was running races, there was a lot of times that I wanted to give up. I felt terrible. I wanted to quit. But there was a poem that I had hanging in my bedroom wall. And whenever I felt really tired, whenever I wanted to quit, I remember this poem. It's called Don't Quit. It goes like this. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is strange with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a failure comes about when he might have won had he stuck it out. Don't give up, though the pace seems slow, you may succeed with another blow. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt. And you never can tell just how close you are, it may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when you're hardest hit, it's when things seem worst that you must not quit. We must persevere. And to do that, we also need passion. That is the other word that starts with P that I want to talk about. Passion. We have to have passion, and we can't get discouraged when things go wrong. Passion can see us through. You know, a lot of times I have to speak to people about my Catholic faith. It's one of the things that God called me to do. A lot of times the dragons really try to drag me down and get me discouraged, especially when I speak to audiences that don't want to be there. And they're not really excited about their faith, and they're kind of apathetic. And remember, we talked about sloth, that deadly sin during Lent, that people just go through motions, and they don't really care, and they don't really love God. And it always makes me think of the Divine Mercy Novena, given to St. Faustina by Jesus himself. And when Jesus gave this novena to St. Faustina, he set aside each day of the novena for a particular set of people. And do you know who he set aside the very last day of the novena for? Do you know who he said hurt him the most? He said, these people forced me to cry out in the agony of the garden, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Do you know who? He said, lukewarm souls. Those are people who don't care. Those are people who go through motions. Do you know that 75% of Catholics don't come to Mass anymore, the source and summit of our faith? We don't pray anymore. They don't believe in God. So many of us have kind of wandered away from our faith, and we need passion. We need to bring them back. And I'm always looking for people to motivate me and inspire me so the fire doesn't go out, that the passion doesn't go out in me. And you know who Jesus said helped him? He set aside the 6th day of novena for a particular group of people. He said, humble souls and the souls of little children, like you. You inspired Jesus. You helped him to keep going. You gave him the passion to suffer and die for everyone. You helped him to persevere and never quit. And you guys helped me too. Whenever I get discouraged or down, I just think of the Dragon Slayers Training Guild. I think of all the people who listen to Catholic Sprouts. I think of everybody who listens to Saturdays with Sir Roland, and you inspire me so much that you all want to be Dragon Slayers, that you all try your best, that you all persevere in fighting dragons. So I want to thank you so much for that, and I'll send you a copy of that poem, Don't Quit, this week, and that's my challenge for you, to look at that poem, to read that poem, to think about it, and to remember that we're all praying for each other, to never give up, to always try your best, and to trust in God's grace to do all the rest. So until next week, I'll leave you under the protection of St. Michael the Great Archangel, St. Joseph the Terror of Dragons, and Mary, Queen of the Angels, Our Lady of Grace, and the woman whose seed crushed the head of the dragon.
That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God created you to be.
Hey, parents and kids. This week we're going to send our Dragon Slayers Training Guild a free copy of the poem, Don't Quit. We're also going to send you a bonus video of my conversation with Major League Baseball pitcher Craig Stammen of the San Diego Padres as we talk about passion and perseverance. We know where you're going to like it. If you're not already a member of our Dragon Slayers Training Guild, you can sign up anytime at extraordinarymission.com/dragonslayers, or just email me, john@extraordinarymission.com. And remember, listen to Catholic Sprouts every day, including Saturdays with Sir Roland.
This show is a production of the Spoke Street Media Podcast Network. For more great podcasts, visit spokestreet.com.